What is going on, everybody out there? Lamont at large today. I got a very special guest with me. This is Kenneth Dale Sims. I was at a cemetery, at the Woodman Cemetery, and I ran into him. And you knew Dan Blocker of Bonanza fame, and we started talking about a couple of different things. So today we're gonna visit a couple of locations of note here in DeKalb. But right behind me, a plane crashed here on this very day that we're filming
38
this.
years ago, I believe.
Yeah, and who was on that plane?
Ricky Nelson.
Ricky Nelson.
He was a rock and roll singer, and his mother and daddy was Ozzie and Harriet, and his brother was David. They had the Nelson show, you know, back in the 50s on TV.
Okay, so he's going to explain to us the plane crash and kind of show it where it crashed. So without further ado, let's begin.
We're in DeKalb, Texas, December the 31st of 2023. 38 years ago, Ricky Nelson had did a show in Alabama, and they were supposed to be in Dallas for a New Year's Eve party, and the plane caught on fire. The heater in the back of the plane caught on fire, and they had to make a crash landing here. The plane came down over the house and power lines here, flipped this telephone pole, broke it off, and skidded into those trees back there and burned up. The two pilots kicked the windshields out and went out the front of the plane, and then the band and singers and everybody died on the plane.
And of course, you can still see the telephone pole is still there. It's still clipped,
yes,
and it still shows the damage of the plane crash. Now, you said that you knew Mr. Nelson?
I didn't know him. I used to be the bus driver for Ray Price, the country music singer.
Oh, okay. So that's
I knew a lot of people, Dolly Parton, Crystal Gayle, and all those, but I can't sing. I'm just a bus driver.
You're just a bus driver. Okay. And so I'm going to visit his final resting place in a future video. So this, of course, is the location of where he
clipped this pole and broke it off, and then you see those trees right straight in there.
Yeah.
It went into those trees, those not the green trees, but see the trees that the leaves are missing off of.
Yeah.
It went right in there and burned up in those wood trees, not those evergreen trees, but those.
Okay, so now you're going to take us to a couple other locations of note. So we're going to get.
I can show you where Ricky Nelson.
Yep, we're going to go there right now.
And then we'll go down to where Willie Nelson.
Yeah, we got
no relations. We got his first tour bus is at.
Yeah, so let's go check that out.
I'm Kenneth Sims from DeKalb, Texas. I was bus driver for Ray Price, country music singer, and one of the young guys in his band was Willie Nelson, Roger Miller, Johnny Paycheck, Johnny Bush. But this bus here was the first bus that Willie Nelson ever owned. He came over to visit Ray Price. This is Farnham Market Road 990. It goes from DeKalb, Texas to Bassett. On the end of this road, 990, where it dead ends to 67, is where Ray Price lived and was raised from the time he was 9 years old. His mother and daddy got a divorce. His daddy was a farmer. His mother was a dress designer for Neiman Marcus in Dallas. She stayed in Dallas, and they moved to the country. But this road here, this bus broke down in DeKalb, and Ray Price loaned Willie Nelson some money to go on to his next show. And they wind up, and he never come back to DeKalb and got the bus.
So he just left it here.
And then, yeah, it went through some different hands, and the guy that got a hold of it last was Gerald Bishop from Avery. And when we was like 15, we went to work at tomato sheds and up at Avery. But then it came from, it's been in this area for several years.
And what? Let me take a really quick look inside. But what year did you say this bus was?
I think it's in the 40s. Wow. Could have been the late 30s, but I'm thinking maybe the early 40s. But this was the first tour bus actually that Willie Nelson ever owned, and then he got another one after this one broke down, and he never did come back and get this one. Stayed here in DeKalb.
Wow, Willie Nelson's first tour bus. That is. Yeah. That is really awesome. I love stuff like this.
I'm Kenneth Sims from DeKalb, related to Dan Blocker, that played on Bonanza, Hoss Cartwright. He was born at 600 Ronald Street. Then he got to making the Bonanza and made money. He bought this house here for his mother, Miss Mary Blocker. And Dan Blocker loved to fish. And he was sat on this one side waiting. A friend of his come by in the morning, pick him up to go fishing. He'd sit here. You can't sit on that side. And he'd catch him about 4 o'clock. He'd go fish, come back when it started getting hot. But this was Miss Mary Blocker's house back in the 60s when Bonanza first came out. And then we'll go back and show you where the house he was born in. I'm Kenneth Sims from DeKalb, and I was showing this is the house that Dan Blocker was born in on December the 10th of 1928, 95 years ago. This side, the side on the south was added on, so actually it was just a shotgun house straight through here, 2 bedrooms, living room and kitchen, and he was born in the bedroom here. And that portion of the house there was added later. It's 600 Ronald Street, DeKalb, Texas. And this is the old ice house in DeKalb in the locker plant.
Wait, what was your name again?
Kenneth Sims from DeKalb, Texas.
We got to start with your name.
Okay.
All right, very good.
Kenneth Sims from DeKalb, Texas.
That's right.
But this is the old ice house. Back in the 30s and 40s, people didn't have electricity. They had an ice box. They had to buy ice and put it in the box to keep it cool, and they'd keep their meat in a little locker, like at a post office. You just rent a little box, and you keep all your beef, hog meat you killed, and then you come down here and get a piece or 2 of it and cook it. And so this is the old ice house where you bought your block ice and had your locker plant. So they painted this Western cattle drive scene on this wall.
So if you wanted some bacon, you would come to your own little locked.
Yeah, like if you killed your own hogs and beef at home, but they didn't have deep freezes and they didn't have refrigeration, didn't have electricity. So you come up here and rent you a box, and you put your meat in there, and then you come up here and get what you wanted for a day or 2, and you buy a 100-pound block of ice and put it in the ice box, and it keep it cool.
Oh, okay.
And then you'd cook it, but you had to come back and forth to get your meat. And a lot of people had their sugar cured meat and smoked meat and stuff like that in their smoke houses, which my granddaddy's house was smokehouse. He iced his stuff down, and then he'd cure his meat, and actually was an old hollow log, and he hollowed it out, and salt water drained out, and he had a 2x8 on the bottom with screened under it, so when he wanted the smoke to come in and air come in, he'd just raise it up and let the bottom board all the way around 8 inches so the air would come through, and he had his, he called it coal smoke. It wasn't hot enough to cook the meat, it was just smoking the meat. It wasn't a hot fire. And usually they had it in the middle in an old tub or something like a washing machine, had all them air holes where it would breathe and smoke. But this is actually where you had to keep most of your meat, and then just bring a little at the house at the time. This is the DeKalb Museum, and this is the tail section of Ricky Nelson's plane. All the front of it burned up, and this was all that was left when the fire department got the fire out.
Yeah, unfortunately the museum is closed. Every time I do these videos, it's always on a Sunday or something like that, but...
And let's see.
You can
Let
see
me
it a
see
little
if
bit
I can
over
see in
on
here where...
this side too. But yeah, that was the wreckage. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. Yeah, you can kind of see it right there. That was the wreckage. That was all that was left.
I don't think you'd be able to, you can't see in there. No, it's you can't see in there. I brought a lot of these toys and a lot of this stuff up here, and all that stuff of Bonanza and that high chair that belonged to Dan Blocker.
Oh, that's all in this place right here. I'll have to come back and.
Yeah.
Did you see
the
that?
best time to come? That's the first Saturday in October. All this stuff's open for Oktoberfest. First Saturday in October.
Did you see this old fire truck?
Yeah, that was one of. They used to have a saying: "You light them, we fight them."
So this is it's a 19. I think the sign
here tells. Hey, right here, take a picture of this. This tells everything right here. This right here.
Oh yeah, I see the little plaque.
Just take a picture of that.
Yeah. Well, we pretty much explained what happened. But,
this is all the about 5:15 in the afternoon. See, they were on the way to Dallas.
That is weird how I just ran into you on December 31st.
That's crazy, isn't it? 38 years ago.
Yeah.
But this tells everything.
That's a cool old fire truck right there. Hopefully Jay Leno doesn't see this video because he'll probably come out here and just buy it. Jay Leno. He likes to collect old vehicles and such. But that was the old fire truck for the city of DeKalb in the early 50s. That is I like that. That is awesome. I love to. I very rarely have I ever seen like old like vehicles like this actually running on the street. I think I've seen it once. That's it.
This is the grave of Dan Blocker that played Hoss Cartwright on Bonanza. He was born here on December the 10th, 1928. Died in California on May the 13th in 1972. Had a gallbladder surgery and died from complications. I think maybe blood clots and lungs. But this is a family plot right here.
Okay, now you were saying earlier that there was a family rumor, or whatever you want to call it, that your grandfather was...
Well, they think maybe they were some kind of related to my grandparents' side of the family.
Okay, so guys, whoever's watching the video, we're going to put...
Dan Blocker weighed 14 pounds when he was born. My oldest brother weighed 13 and a half pounds, and the doctor broke his neck delivering him, so he was born dead. But
so we're going to do a side-by-side comparison. Does anybody think that this guy is related to Dan Blocker? Let's see. Can you turn your head a little bit to the right? Okay, now turn it to the left. Does anybody think that this guy? I'm going to say you got the same jaw. You got that. You got that big jaw. You got that big face, that big jaw. You're related to. I think you are.
I got a son, 42 years old, at 6'2", 425, and he looks more like Dan Blocker than anybody ever seen.
Well,
he could play a double in the movie.
Let me tell you, you look like you could be his son. I kid you not. Yeah, that is. Okay, so and then this is his mom.
This is his mom, Miss Mary Blocker. She was a real small woman. And then his daddy went by the nickname Shack. And they left DeKalb when Dan Blocker was like 2 and moved to O'Donnell, Texas, which is south of Lubbock, and had a grocery store out there.
Why did they call him Shack?
I don't know how that got to be. Like an old shacky house, I don't know. But they had a grocery store in O'Donnell, and Dan Blocker was a big stout kid, so he carried the groceries out for the people that buying groceries and stuff in O'Donnell. And
this was his sister right here.
Yeah, she was like 11 years old when she died. She died in the house he was born in. And then after Dan Blocker started making Bonanza and making money, he bought that brick house for his mother, and she moved up there, that brick house.
And you said your parents, you wanted to show us your parents, they're right over here. So we're going to mosey on over there.
But there's big people in my family. They all big babies, 12, 14 pound babies.
A lot of big babies born at DeKalb over here.
One of my grandma's brothers was all the monks. They were all world champion wrestlers.
Yeah, Dan Blocker was a huge guy. That guy's chest was like twice this width of mine.
Now, this was my brother's grave here.
Yeah, so you said that they broke his neck accidentally.
Yeah, he weighed 13 and a half pounds. He was born on March the 8th of 1944. He was born in 44. My other brother was born in 45, and I was born in 46.
And these are your parents,
yes,
Molly and Ralph. So what does your dad do for work?
He was laid tile. He laid tile 62 years. He never thought he got old.
62 years?
He quit laying tile.
That is a tough job.
On his knees. He quit laying tile at 90 years old. He roofed his own house at 93. And at 97, he had a stroke and 3 or 4 strokes that week. Mama lived
you look just like your dad.
Yeah. Well, our hair, we have a lot of hair. He had a lot of hair, and I got.
Why do you have hair and I don't? Why is that? Why did God curse me with the? Anyways.
My hair is turning gray, but it ain't turning loose.
Oh, dang it!
But Mama lived to be like 90, and Daddy was 97. And my grandmother over here lived to be 102 and a half. So they live a long time. People in
Your dad was on a roof at
93 years old. He roofed his own house.
93. So he never stopped.
He never did stop. He would even at 97, he'd get up early. He'd be the first one at the cafe to drink coffee and talk about the Cowboys winning the games.
So he outlived his two of his sons. Wow.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And his wife.
And these pieces of petrified wood, they weighed 333 pounds. And they came out of where they dug this river out to put the spillway in Texarkana Lake. There was a lot of petrified wood down in the bottom of that river. And I don't know how many million years old petrified wood is, but this was one solid piece of log. And then when they picked it up, it broke it. But it came out of the river, and but it's petrified wood. I thought about donating it to the Broken Bow, Oklahoma forest deal, because a lot of people don't get to see petrified wood. But together they weigh 333 pounds. And
well, tell us what a good memory of your dad. Like what's a memory that you have with your father?
Well, I realized when I was 14 there wasn't nothing that I can't do. I'm 77 now, and I went and got a physical. It's, my gosh, you got a body of a 35-year-old. I haul hay, ride horses every day, still work on the ranch. The guy I work for has got 25,000 head of cattle, 10,000 cows around the country having calves, farmed out to different ranches, 3,500 head in the pre-condition, 40,000 organic brown laying egg hens, and 7,000 head of cattle in the feedlots in New Mexico. Usually we put like $25 million worth of beef on American table off that one ranch here at DeKalb.
Do you have like a fond memory of you, like time that you spent with your mom or your dad? Like a story that you want to share?
Well, something that made me realize I could do anything. My dad got his arm beat off on 3rd day of July 1961, and the tractor was running 35 miles an hour, and we just filled it up with gas, and there was no way to stop it because it's running so fast, and it's Minneapolis Moline, you had to turn it off from the back, and he had broke his knee and beat his arm off, and all except about an inch of his skin. They sewed it back on, and it worked. It was good. He used it. It was just shorter. But that tractor was making a big circle, and I had to wait 2 or 3 minutes till it made the circle and come back around. And I ran out in front of the tractor, and before the tractor run over me, I reached over and got a spark plug wire out, which made it start running on 5 instead of 6. The next time it come around, I got another spark plug wire out, slowed it down a little more, and the third time it come around, I got the coil wire and stopped that runaway tractor. There ain't nothing I can't do.
Right on.
No, at least I'll make myself believe that.
Who is this?
This is Durwood Merle. He was an American League umpire, and he also was a coach. And he wrote a book. I think the name of the book he wrote was "You're Out and You're Ugly Too." But he was quite a guy.
Did you knew him?
Yes, I seen him getting gas at a gas station. He was on his way to the hospital. He was having chest pains, and he went on down to the hospital, and he died that afternoon that I visited with him on the way to the hospital. That's the last time I ever saw him.
He was driving himself to the hospital?
Him and his wife. Yeah, he was driving himself. He was having chest pains, and he was getting some gas to go on to Texarkana and stopped down here at New Boston, and I was talking to him, and he said, I got to go because I ain't got time to visit because I'm having chest pains. And he went on down there, and he died. He didn't make it through the deal. But he was American League umpire. And like I said, I think he wrote that book, "You're Out and You're Ugly Too." That was kind of a funny deal, but he was quite a character.
That concludes the video. A big thank you to Mr. Sims. You never know who you might meet at a cemetery, so big shout out to him. I thoroughly enjoyed that video. Not really my content in some of the segments, but maybe I will make it my future content. And I did film a goodbye ending to that video with Mr. Sims, and I lost it. Don't know where it's at, so I thought I'd make my own. See you on the next video. Peace out.